Welcome back to Inspiredsiren. Today we are going to be doing a Let's Talk Books, and the novel we're going to be talking about today is The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. Maclean. Now, I absolutely loved this book. This is not a spoiler-free review, so if you don't want spoilers on this book, go read it. It's a great novel, and then come on back. But in the background, you'll be seeing me play Planet Zoo, and I will touch a little bit more on that at the end of the video. But for now, let's get into this wonderful book, and strap in, get a snack. Let's talk books. So, The Phoenix Keeper is a fantasy novel, and the kind of background image of it is it's basically set in a zoo. Now, I have lots of feelings about zoos. I know people do, but in this case, it was a fantasy novel in a book, and I felt okay about it. So, the zoo kind of is home to mythical or mystical or whatever you want to call it, creatures like dragons or phoenixes or there's this one part where there's like vanishing ducks, so they're just like quacking away and then they disappear and then they come quack another place. And so in that way, it's kind of got, the book has this kind of like magical underlying, and it's just one of those books that's like kind of joyful to read. Like, it's kind of like, oh, like, this just makes me feel like a kid. It makes me feel giddy. It makes me feel happy. So our main character is Isla. Now, Isla she's specific to a type of phoenix. I might butcher how this was meant to be said, but in my mind, I was reading it Silamalo Phoenix. So Isla has, like, she's this kind of quirky girl. She has got like crazy red hair, which I relate to. And she, like, poor thing, another thing I relate to, she has like horrible anxiety. She's really scared of talking to people. She's really scared of public speaking. So we kind of find like we have some compassion for this like cute character who she loves animals, especially these phoenixes, and she wants to dedicate her life to the conservation of them, kind of making them come back into the wild. But she's not so great with people. She has anxiety, right? So we've got Isla, and then her best friend, Tanya, who is also a phoenix keeper, just a different type. She's a Bix phoenix keeper. And they kind of have lots of camaraderie. They help each other, whatever. And the other two kind of main characters is Connor, who is the dragon keeper. He's kind of, at least through the first part of this book, is seen as kind of like, oh, he's like dreamy. He's so cute. He's like, whatever. If you can't tell already, spoiler alert, he doesn't end up being that great. And then Luciana, who Isla has this sworn enemy vibe with in the beginning of the book, because they went to school together, and Isla, like, in her mind, Luciana had laughed at her when she was like really anxious in public speaking, and Luciana had tried to like shift away from Isla and not help her or whatever. So they've kind of got this like enemies vibe, but they kind of go back and forth. Like, Isla and Tanya are like always close. They're like best friends. Throughout the book, there's also like some really cute focus on animals. I really loved this. This is like one of the books, I mean, probably not the first book I read like this, but one of the first ones in a while where the animals have names and they have personalities, and it's just so cute. So we've got Isla's phoenix, who is named Rubra, right? And she's like the main character. She is Isla's main focus. She really wants to help reintroduce these phoenixes. We've got the big phoenix. We've got, I don't remember what the species was, but it was a bird called Archie who was obsessed with everything shiny and metal. And so, like, would steal things from people and, like, somehow has magical spit where he, like, welds metal into his little metal tower. He's got this, like, big tower of metal with any and everything that like earrings, rings, like a key that was dropped on the ground, like all this is this kind of funny little bird that's obsessed with metal. We've got the Kelpie, which is a water horse that's also carnivorous and like eats goat legs throughout the book. And then we've got peacock griffins, which are exactly what they sound like. It's a regular griffin, but like peacock feathers. And so kind of throughout the book, the story centers around conservation efforts, right? This book is, the zoo is trying to conserve like these magical creatures from poachers who are using their feathers for like staying young or weird potions to fall in love with people or random crap like that. And so because of that, the numbers of the animals have really dwindled. And for Isla specifically, her phoenix, Rubra, is like one of the rarest, right? And so the main storyline focuses on the Silamano. I'm gonna be Zord saying this. Okay, Silamalo. Okay, it's spelled Silmalo. Silamalo phoenix. I might just start calling her Rubra from here on out. But so Rubra is one of very few left. And so the story starts out with a different zoo holding the same type of phoenix. And when the eggs hatch, the mom bird, she bursts into flames basically, which is how the eggs hatch. And once she did that, all of the eggs, like the chicks, were stolen. And so they're left with one male bird, and Isla has a female bird, Rubra. And so Isla is so stressed about this, so sad about kind of the loss of these phoenixes and the conservation efforts. And so Isla decides, you know what, like, I'm going to be brave. She has debilitating anxiety, like anxiety to the point where she can't talk. And she like has panic attacks. She freaks out, but she decides, you know what, like, no one's going to help these birds. And I love them. She's got this poster on the wall that she's had since she was a kid of these phoenixes. And it is just so important for her to conserve them. And so she sends an email, like an offshoot email to this, the conservation, the head, basically the director of the conservation, and says, you know what, please bring the male phoenix here. Like, let me try with Rubra. Let me try and kind of preserve the species, get some hatchlings. And so kind of that's how the book kind of starts out. And kind of along the story, she waits and she's not getting approved, but finally they get approved. The director is like, okay, you can try with Rubra. You can try to have a hatch of chicks. You can do this. And so everybody in the zoo pitches in, right? And this is where kind of we see the, I guess, interactions between the characters, where this happens, and all of a sudden Connor, the dragon keeper, is like coming to say hi to Isla and wanting to help out and fix things. And Tanya, the best friend, has like a little bit of a weird vibe and is like, I don't know, Isla, like, you've got a lot going on. Maybe just chill on the bro thing and like come back to this later. And so like we've kind of got this push and pull of them, and they even go on a couple of dates, Isla and Connor. And Connor is like so boring. He's into like stock trading. And Isla is like, man, this guy is really boring, but I have so much social anxiety, and her like self-worth is so low that she's like, I guess like the problem's me, and so I guess I'll just kind of, go with this and whatever. And kind of along this way, we also get Luciana, which is her like enemy, starting to interact, and Isla needs to like ask her for help because she needs help with PR because she's horrible at talking. She needs help building pieces of the exhibit. She has to borrow some things from Luciana's like her animals and everything. And so through that, she kind of, she really struggles with Luciana. She's feels really insecure and like feels all of this pain that Luciana like caused her in her mind. And it's really actually quite cool because there's like a flip. So with Connor, she starts out feeling like horrible about herself and like she's worthless and like, well, he's like paying attention to me, so he's like really good and like he must be better than me, and I'm trying to like build up to that. And kind of throughout the book and towards the end of the book, she's like, you know what, no, like he makes me feel horrible and like I'm not a valuable person, and I'm gonna stand up for that. And she like yells at him and is like, you know what, he like tells her like, stop worrying, like don't worry. And she's like, you know what, I have a freaking right to be worried. This is a critically endangered species and I am in charge of helping this species survive, and I'm gonna worry about it. And like, stop telling me like stop mansplaining me basically, and stop like invalidating my emotions. And so it like flips with him. And then with Luciana, the same thing happens where she starts out in this hate, and then she kind of slowly starts to understand Luciana, and one of Luciana's animals dies, and she sees the emotion on Luciana's face and her experiences, and starts to kind of think of her more as human. And then finds out that Luciana wasn't avoiding Isla in school. She was trying to help a friend who was like going through cancer or something. And Luciana wasn't laughing at her when she was presenting or making fun of her social anxiety. It was just Luciana had the social anxiety as well. And like laughing was her therapist, like told her to cope with it by laughing. And so kind of we have these flip-flops of roles where, Isla and Tanya are like so steadfast. They've got, normal human interactions. And then Connor goes from being this idolized person to being like, no, this person's kind of lame, and I don't actually like him. Like he's harming me and making me feel like crap, and that's not cool. And then with Luciana kind of going from like worrying about her and like being so intimidated by her to like they actually end up falling in love, which is so cute. They have like these crushes on each other, and so we kind of have that flip, right? And we have all along the way, like I swear that I knew this. I told my partner and one of my friends that I was reading this book like a third of the way through. I was like, Connor's the bad guy. Like I know he's the villain. I don't know how I know, but I just freaking know he's the villain. And so of course, Isla does all this amazing work. She gets these phoenixes to hatch. She's alone at night in the zoo, and Rubra, the mom phoenix, she a molt, which is like she bursts into flame. She hatches the chicks, and Connor's there for some freaking reason, and like Isla is freaking out because she's alone and she knows about all these poachers and she's really worried. They'd had this live feed, and so the live feed cut off, and so Isla is like, Connor, help me, and he throws her into the exhibit and he locks her in there, and she realizes, oh, like he is the one that is gonna poach the birds. He is actually only like trying to date me, or was only trying to date me because he wanted to know a hatch date. And it's just like this sad moment where she's taken advantage of by him, and I saw it coming, but it still so sucked to read that. And like how Isla has this kind of naive but like really beautiful view of the zookeepers and caring about their animals. And, you know, Connor has thrown her in this gate and she's like, what are you doing? Like, don't you love your dragon? And he's like, yeah, I do. And also I'm the one that sold their hatchlings. Like he ends up having been poached in like previous times. And um it reminded me of like one of the earlier quotes of the book where Isla is talking about Phoenix and how the conservation efforts are so important and what started because of people like nearly driving the phoenixes extinct. And she talks about it's their greed and their short-sightedness. And she said phoenixes are a reminder of how awful people can be, but also how much good we can do when we put our minds to it. And she kind of like has this moment and she, you know, she's asking for help. And this is where our lovely best friend Tanya freaking comes to the rescue because like all good best friends, Isla and Tanya have a secret code, right? They've got like when someone comes into their exhibit time or whatever where they're like secretly don't want to be there or they don't want to help and they use this code. They say, "Oh, there's a leaky faucet in the Phoenix exhibit. We need to go fix it." And it's just this funny joke because like Phoenixes are basically fire. And so actually like water is not that good for them. And if anything is bad for them because it makes too much steam. It like creates all these problems, but nobody else seems to have noticed that. And so, you know, after, Connor has captured Isla and like trapped her, our lovely best friend Tanya is like calling her friend and being like, okay, Isla's not answering. I'm going to call a few times. And of course, Connor's like, okay, if she doesn't answer, Tanya's going to know there's trouble. So he forces Isla to answer. And of course, Isla says, I'm totally fine, but there's a leaky faucet and I need to fix that. And so, of course, from that, Tanya realizes, oh, like something's going on. And she calls Luciana, who ends up being at the zoo late for some, like to try and train her, one of her new peacock griffins, who's replacing the one that passed away. And so we kind of get into this cat and mouse game where Connor and then two other like poachers are gonna come and take the little baby chick phoenixes, and Isla's like not having it. And so then comes my absolute favorite part of the book where the chase is thwarted by all of the animals that Isla loves, right? And so she ends up taking the chicks out of the incubators, which they can't be out of for very long, but she's like, okay, well, it's better than leaving them here to get poached. And so then we come back to all of the animals. So we go to Tanya's Bix Phoenix, who the whole book Tanya has been fighting because this Phoenix is just digging holes and will not stop digging holes. And so Isla is able to hide the baby chicks in this hole that's like not supposed to be there, because of this naughty like other type of phoenix. And so she has a place to hide the birds. And then you know, we go through the other bird exhibit where, you know, they're getting chased by these poachers and they have guns. And of course then we have Archie, who's like obsessed with everything shiny and metal. And so he's like dive bombing one of them and like stealing his gun, and getting and like basically making way for Isla to run. And then we've got the Kelpie, which is the carnivorous like water horse, who has this beautiful moment where she's like Isla is like trying to escape, and that's like the only place she can go is into this exhibit. And she's like, oh crap, I hope I don't die in here. And the Kelpie kind of like purposely breaks the like magic curse, which kind of draws the victims to the water, and like puts it onto one of the poachers. And because Isla's good, she ends up saving him anyway, but she doesn't get eaten, which is the point. And then last but certainly not least, the peacock griffin that Luciana's training is able to save Isla because Luciana is like training him with mice as treats and like throws a mouse at Connor, And so the peacock griffin is like a little puppy dog, like totally attacked Connor and is like trying to find any extra treats he has. And so it's just this like absolutely wonderful part of the book where the love and the attention and the care that Isla has given to all these animals actually, like, she knows so much. She's like able to navigate escaping from these poachers, and she's able to actually like have them reciprocate the love. And like, she didn't do it for that reason, but that's like the coolest thing. And so anyway, I think I'll kind of leave the general thing there, is that, you know, in the end they were able to have enough time where you know, Tanya comes back, had brought the police with her. They get the poachers, and they have these happy little chicks at the end. And kind of Isla has grown a ton with her anxiety and her fear. And so kind of the last bit of the book, Isla is finally able to like face her biggest fear of like public performances and public speaking. And she kind of has one of her like beautiful phoenixes who she's worked so hard to protect and to foster a continued rescue with. And so it kind of says at the end here that she's got the bird on her hand, and the bird looks up, and so she says she looked up, and she said the sight of the panicked stands threatened to stop her heart. Blood thudded in her ears, as loud as the gasps and the applause, as loud as the Silla Malo string music bearing over the speakers. Stuck in the spotlight, Isla's legs wobbled but didn't collapse. Though her heart thundered, it didn't burst. Before her sat a sea of onlookers, every one of them smiling ear to ear. Isla had survived the inspections, survived the interviews, survived gun-wielding intruders. She could handle this. The two largest smiles sat in the front row. Isla's parents, rising out of their seats, they snapped a photo. And it's just this like kind of full circle moment where Isla is realizing how brave she is and how amazing like she can grow, and that she's really capable, and also that she doesn't have to forfeit herself to be loved or cared about. Like, her parents had always loved her, but like, I think this is the moment she like fully was accepting of that. And there's something really special about kind of how that like plays out in the end. And so, yeah, I think this is like an absolutely wonderful read. I had a blast reading it, and though I think maybe, I don't know if other people would catch the that Connor was bad, but like, I think it was like slightly predictable. But to be honest, I think even with the predictability, the cute scenes and the like getting these personal snippets of these magical animals, and watching Isla really conquer her anxiety and her fear, and loving herself and working through her mental health, I don't know, that just really spoke volumes. And so I would highly recommend picking up this book. And kind of through the background here, you've seen Planet Zoo. I don't have a lot of experience with this game. I would say so far I'm having fun, but it feels like a lot, like a big learning curve maybe. But I felt like a zoo game would really fit the vibe. And also this one was on sale for like a couple of bucks. So I guess the lesson is, look for games that are on sale. Don't be afraid to explore. And also that you are strong and capable, and you are way more amazing than you probably are giving yourself credit for. So I hope you can take some of Isla's experience, growth, learning to love, learning to accept help and care from other people, and kind of move forward with your day. Thank you for tuning in to Inspired Siren today, and another one of our Let's Talk books. If you have any recommendations, things you want to see, games you want me to play, you can go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you haven't already, please subscribe and send me a like, send me a comment. You will absolutely make my day. And I will catch you every Friday. See you then. Bye.